Thanks for watching this episode of The Blade Boys. I am Ted Flett.
And I'm Myth Das.
And today we're going to break down what happened at the tail end of last year in the pairs and men's events and offer some predictions on who's sort of fizzling and who's sizzling heading on to the back half of the season. So, Myth, in the pairs event, I think this is like the most explosive competition happening in all of figure skating right now. You've got the Canadians, you've got the Russian comebacks, you've got the Chinese, you've got possible spoilers by the second Canadian team, Bilodeau and Seguin. There's so much to talk about. Who do you like best? Who are sort of your top picks of people who impressed you the most in the first half of the season in the pairs event?
Well, Paris has been pretty unpredictable this season. I mean, of course, you have the reigning world champions, Megan Duhamel and Eric Radford, won both of their Grand Prix events, kind of as expected. And then we expected their competition to be Stolbova and Klimov, who had a really awful showing at Skate America, but then came back in fine form to win the Grand Prix final. I think a lot of people expected Duhamel and Radford to win the Grand Prix final, but I think as we saw at like Ross Telecom, that when Sobo and Klimov get it together, and when Duhamel and Radford make errors, they are still very much open to win. So
okay, so here's my beef with that is I'm not sure, as much as I love Duhamel Radford, when you say Stolbova and Klimov can capitalize on Duhamel Radford's mistakes, the way they skated at the Grand Prix final and the marks that they pulled, I'm not sure that a clean Duhamel Radford at this point could even touch them.
I think it would be close. Like I know it was like a 12-point gap, but you had like the fall in the short. Like even if you take the short program, Sobo and Klimov skated clean and got like 74 points, something like that. And
Yeah.
Duhamel and Radford had a fall on a throw and got 72 points. So like, I mean, clearly Duhamel and Radford can make a major error and still kind of hang with a clean Sobov and Klimov. But in the free skate, obviously, if Silvova and Klimov go clean, I think because a triple triple, like the added triple toe, the bonus, like you get 3 or 4 points with that extra. It's more than the points you would get for upgrading a triple throw to a quad throw, which again is a problem. But that's kind of the state of affairs right now. So if they skate clean, Sobov and Klimov on paper. Like they should beat Duhamel and Radford, like barely, but I think I will say that the scoring at the Grand Prix final was a little bit crazy. Like that,
Well, yeah, because they were only like
was,
what 0.06 points off of the record by Melissa Shaw-Trenkov.
which is not a bad thing because like they did add
It was a good skate. It was a good skate.
They did have the triple triple. I think the tech specialist, like the Russians are going to kill me, but they're going to send a drone or something. But like I think that her triple triple was a little bit under rotated. But like and depending on the severity of the tech specialist, they have had in the past like been called for the under rotation on that.
Right.
That is
and his double toe at the end was like squeaker.
Right, and you still get
but good on them. I mean, triple double. That's awesome.
Right, of course. I mean, you can wave your finger at the judges for the grade of execution, but they thoroughly deserve to beat Duhamel and Radford in both segments of the Grand Prix final. But Duhamel and Radford would have probably had about 4 or 5 more points in the short program, and then in the free skate, if they had gone clean, even with just a regular quad, they probably would have had like, I would guess around 6 or 7 more points if you forget like the errors, like her 2-footing and the throw error. So, and then you would assume their components would be slightly higher as well. I think Sobo and Klimov, that's essentially the best they can skate. So it'll be key to see if they can repeat that. They've been known usually for one great performance, like one like lights out performance per season, and usually at a really good time, like Worlds or the Olympics.
Yeah. I mean, I think that in terms of Duhamel Radford, although I was a bit, I know the loss was unfortunate. They took it in great stride, and they really felt that, according to interviews, that they won the silver.
Yeah.
And who I'm more nervous about actually is is the current world silver medalist, Sui Han, who had to pull out of the Grand Prix final due to injury. I don't know if there's enough time now for them to find their groove. They talked about a quad and landed a quad in practice, never did it in competition. They're running out of competitions unless they go to Four Continents Championships. They're just going to show up at Boston, and I don't know if they've got enough miles under their belt skating healthy to pull off an upset at the World Championships. What do you think about them?
I think they have a very good shot at podiuming, especially with Kavaguti and Smirnov out now because of Yuko's injury. And that was a huge bummer because I thought Kavaguti and Smirnov could have actually potentially challenged for the world title this year. And they've always been kind of a, sentimental favorite. Like, they've never been the top Russian pair and always in the shadow of somebody.
Yeah, and they showed at the Cup of China that when they put it together, they can put it together, and they actually upset Sui Han. But sorry, back to Sui Han.
Yeah, no, but now with Kavaguti and Smirnov out, I think Sui and Han have a good chance of maintaining a podium finish. It's kind of hard to say because they didn't compete at Chinese nationals. I don't know if they're competing at Four Continents. I mean, she's still injured, and you kind of have to wonder, especially with the return of Voloshyzar and Trankov, and now Savchenko and Musso, which is also a new team we'll talk about. And of course, teams that are on the rise, like Seguin and Bilodeau, they cleared 200 points at the Grand Prix final. These are all fairly competitive performances, and Sui and Han will have to be top of their game to stay on the podium, I think, because they're not quite getting the component scores that the top level teams are, and again, their quad throw, they need to get that back in there, but with injury, it's understandable that they're not training it as much as they're used to. So it'll be interesting to see how they stack up. I think Yu and Jin, they're a very consistent team as well, and they will definitely do. Well, I think now at this point, China really their focus should be on maintaining 3 spots. There's so many potential medalists at Worlds that a medal is obviously the main goal, and obviously to win is a goal that Sui and Han could achieve, but they'll have to depend on errors from the top pairs because I don't think they have the components or the technical content quite yet.
But I think the other big challenge at World Championships at this point in the game, now Europeans will be I think a big indicator of how they're doing is Voloshyzar and Trankov. So didn't have a perfectly solid Neville horn, but early in the season and getting back into competition mode, that's understandable. Unfortunately, weren't able to compete in the free skate at the Trophée Eric Bompard because, of course, it was canceled, but had a solid short program there, so have that at least under their belts. Didn't compete in the Grand Prix final due to injury. Didn't skate that well at Russian Nationals. The long program was pretty poor. I think Stolbova and Klimov could have totally conquered there had they competed, despite but his back injury kept them out. So Voloshyzar and Trankov, I think it's going to be pretty interesting. These were the champions of the Olympics, safe to say, right? Yeah. They won the team event, they won the pairs event. They're the only people of Russia to win the 2 gold medals in the individual and the team. I'm nervous for them come Worlds as well. I think she's really got to stop landing her jumps on 2 feet. And I think that the judges are not gifting them the way they were in from 2012 up until 2014. So it will be very interesting.
Yeah, I think, they had a good short program at Russian Nationals, that's true.
They did, and their short program, I think, is one of the best in the field.
Yes, I agree. I think it because it's the short program, they don't really have to worry about increasing technical content because people are restricted to triple twists and people are restricted to triple throws. So the only way somebody like Duhamel and Radford can make up ground is the side by side jumps, which again isn't a whole lot more points than a side-by-side triple Salchow for triple lats. But enough. And I think if they skate cleanly, Voloshyzar and Trankov can develop enough of a lead that they can potentially make up the fact that their free skate doesn't have the technical content that Stolbova and Klimov and Duhamel and Radford and other teams doing like quads have. But again, they're on their comeback, and like I'm cutting them a bit of slack because I'm like they don't really have anything like else to prove. Like they won every competition there is essentially. So, but they're clearly skating because they feel like they have more to contribute, and obviously they want to win, right? Like they want to show that, hey, we can take some time off and still kill it. But I think they have a good chance to win Worlds, but they might actually lose to Sobov and Klimov and Duhamel and Radford if both of those teams skate to their potential.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned them earlier, and I think they're going to be a massive spoiler. Is the new German team, of course, it's Sevchenko Masso, who we got a great interview with back in September during the Devil Horde Trophy in Oberstdorf.
I know, it feels like yesterday.
I know, and I mean, they killed it at, I think, Tallinn Cup, Warsaw Cup. They did well at German Nationals. They've got, I think, the highest. See, they're bringing you to choke. You can't even.
I know. I can't even stomach them.
Speak.
Yeah.
You're so excited about the German team.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think they're the highest. I think they've pulled the highest short program score of 76 at either Warsaw or Tallinn. How they factor into the mix. I mean, I give them a lot of latitude. They may not capitalize at the World Championships. I think of Kazakova and Dmitriev when they appeared on the scene. Of course, he was, very well respected Olympic champion when they came back in 95, 96. And they were on their way to maybe even winning the World Championships in 96 in Edmonton. And then she had the unfortunate fall on a crosscut. And that happens to a new team that's all of a sudden thrown into the spotlight. And so lots could go wrong for them, but I also think based on the season that they've already had, even though they've been in more senior B events, lots could go right. This team is looking incredible. The height on the lifts, or the difficulty of the lifts, the height of the twist, the height of the throws, it's exceptional stuff. It's really good. And if she can land all that stuff on one foot, they might even be able to crank out a quad come Boston.
Yeah.
They could potentially be untouchable. It could be a massive shocker.
I think the potential is there, but as you said, they are a new team, and while they do have the experience of Aliona, I think that's going to play a huge factor. But like, if you recall, Velocizar and Trankov, also new team on the scene, like they repaired up from their former partners, and then they kind of at Worlds they pulled out the stops in the free skate, but the short program, the inexperience kind of showed with the death spiral, and like as a result that cost them the world title. I don't like Bruno. He's fairly...
I think you're thinking of 2012.
Yes, maybe I'm thinking 2011.
Oh, okay. 2011 they did really well. They upset Peng and Tong when they took the silver medal behind Savchenko and Salkovi.
Yes,
so that's where I say. I mean, it could go either way.
It could go either way. I think honestly I'll have to assess them at Europeans because they have yet to compete against the top pairs, which is again a big factor. I mean, and they will definitely have their work cut out for them at Europeans because against Stolbova and Klimov and Velocizar and Trankov.
Myth, there will be some resting bitch face on the senior pairs practice between Aliona, Tatiana, and Stolbova, Senya.
Oh my God.
Those are three demons I would not want to get in between.
Get your sunglasses because they're going to be a lot of glaring, okay? A lot of glares.
It'll be interesting to see how they factor in at Europeans, and I think you're right. That will be a bit of an indicator.
And two other teams I just wanted to talk about who will also be at Europeans. Who do you think is going to spoil? Well, I think Evgenia Tarasova and Vladimir Morozov, they actually capitalize on the fact that Yuko's injured and out.
They're benefiting, sure.
But at Russian Nationals, they skated really well. They essentially tied Kavaguti and Smirnov in both segments and lost to them by like 0.12 or something really almost slim like that. And it was still like they lost the short program free skate by like 0.5 and 0.05 and 0.07 or something crazy like that. But I think they had a really rough season and they really needed Russian Nationals. And I'm so glad they had the shot at Euros to sort of redeem themselves. and Worlds as well, because they were a hot team last year and they kind of fell off beginning. I love their short program still, and I just want to see them like kill it. And I don't think they'll get a medal at Worlds for sure, but I think they can still crack the top 6 again, maybe even 5th, if they skate like to their potential. But Euros will be very key for them. And one more Euro team I want to talk about was Vanessa James and Morgan Eep, who they're always they're not usually a threat for Euros. They're sometimes bronze medal threats, but they've upgraded to a triple combination that they almost nailed at French Nationals, and they also do a quad throw, which she over-rotated at French Nationals. Like, girl got too much rotation on it, right? It must be that slim physique that just allows her to rotate that much faster. But
100%. Yeah.
100%. But they're a team who've upgraded themselves technically, so I wouldn't be surprised if they pulled out a medal at Europeans. I think they're at least making the strides to get themselves to that level. It's now a question of whether they'll execute. But yes,
yeah, I think there's a real bottleneck of top teams at Europeans. But hey, if they can put it together, there's a ton of people rooting for them. On the North American side and other team in China, what are your thoughts there? Anyone else that you're sort of looking at? Like, I think Seguin and Bilodeau are this unknown team. They could be anywhere at the World Championships with a clean skate from 7th to 3rd potentially.
They have been the most I will say this. They have been like, other than their first, I think, Nebelhorn or whatever their Grand Prix Challenger Series was. Other than that, from Grand Prix onwards, they have been the most consistent team all season of all the teams. Like, I'm like, there's always that one team that like isn't established. They're not the top most popular, but they just do their thing. Like, they nail they have 2 different side-by-side. They don't have the quad throw. They don't have a quad twist. I don't know yet if they can develop that. It's hard to tell based on their physique. But Canadian Nationals is this weekend, and like initially I thought Ilishechkina and Moskovich were definitely the number 2 team, and Seguin and Bilodeau were number 3 last year. Seguin and Bilodeau are firmly the number 2 team, and
firmly. In fact, if Duhamel and Radford, if some disaster occurs, it would
have to be a huge disaster though, because
I agree.
But like Duhamel and Radford would need a meltdown, and I think they're too mentally strong.
I agree for that. I'm just saying it.
Right, but I think Seguin and Bilodeau, while it was a question mark whether they'd be the Canadian number 2, I would. There's my money, and I'm gonna put it on them. Totally. And then it's gonna be up to like Ilishechkina and Moskovich and Mortowers and Monero to fight for that 3rd spot. So that'll be
which is gonna be like that's gonna be
a battle. And speaking of other battles, like Alexis Kameka and Chris Knierim, they managed to get to the Grand Prix final based on their 3rd place finish at NHK Trophy, which was a good finish for them. And unfortunately, they had a really not very good Grand Prix final, a bit of a nightmare for them. But it's kind of good to get that out of their system. I think there was a lot of pressure being the first U.S. team to make the Grand Prix final in like 7 or 8 seasons. But now they have to look towards U.S. Nationals and maintaining their U.S. title against Tara Kane and Daniel O'Shea, who are kind of up-and-comers, as well as like other teams like
Castelli and Tran. Interesting. It'll be interesting to watch. I was in Barcelona at the Grand Prix final, watched the practice sessions, and they lost their quad twist on the day of the free skate. Like, I think she attempted it 3 times in the practice, went down all 3 times. It was so hard to watch, and it was so unique, and it was a reminder for me that this is a really, really tough element. Like, most people that land a quad twist, they just do it consistently. It doesn't have that same kind of disastrous crumble like a quad throw, but it's a really tough element, and it completely came away from them. And they said that they've rebuilt it and relearned it, and they're in better shape now. So
I think they'll have it by U.S. Nationals. But yes, I think people underestimate a quad twist because they're like, oh, it's a twist jump, or it's a catch, it's easy, you can like land. But like, the torque that the girl needs and to pull out of the rotation, that's the hard part. It's the hard part is for the lady pulling out of that, and stopping her
Totally.
rotation, because if you don't, then the blade you land on, it can easily skid, and then it gets away from you. And you have to remember, a twist is like a throw. It's not very, like, theirs isn't so up and down that like you can catch them. They're actually moving. So if she
Yeah,
catches a blade, they're still moving forward, and then you can get a fall. So I actually
totally.
thought, like, considering their practice attempts at the Grand Prix final, the free skate, like, while we expected the error, it was not as much as bad as I was thinking it would be. But I think come U.S. Nationals, they'll have it under wraps, because they got it on point. They just needed that out of their system. I
Yeah,
believe in
I
them.
think that. Yeah, I
I
think
think they'll
that. Yeah,
repeat
and I
as
think
U.S.
their short program is one of the best in the competition,
Mm-hmm.
and I hope that they can earn their ticket to Boston on a really high note, because the pressure is going to be there in Boston as well, skating at Worlds in front of a home crowd. So shifting gears to the boys,
The man's,
the
yes.
men. So I mean, how else do you characterize the first half without mentioning the guy on the top, Yuzuru Hanyu? What do you think, man? Like, I need to ask.
Oh my god. Okay, well, Yuzuru Hanyu has
Take a
taken.
breath. Take a breath. Take a
I got to
breath.
take a breath. I got to take many breaths. And I especially had to take many breaths after that NHK performance. Like, Yuzuru Hanyu has taken the sport to a whole new level. We eventually knew that he would add a quad to a shore program, and we eventually knew he would add three quads. To do three quads and two axles, I mean, I think, was it Tim Gable who did it? Not many skaters have done
Yep.
that, and
Yeah. Good
not many
memory. I think
skaters
you're right.
have done two quads in their short program as well. And to do it that consistently and with that level of like, he is genuinely an exciting skater to watch. And when he gets it all together, like, his performances are like epic. Like, that's the only adjective to describe it, because like at NHK, I was blown away, because it's such difficult content, and and looking at his practices and his exhibitions, he can reel out quads and triple axles like nobody else. But getting it all done on every element in competition is a completely different matter, especially upgrading between like the start of the Grand Prix at Skate Canada, where he lost to Patrick Chan, to NHK, and literally adding a quad in each program. That's super impressive. I actually thought he performed better at NHK than at the Grand Prix final. Grand Prix final, again, like the other medalists, or like the other gold winners,
Yeah.
if you skated clean, the judges were ready to give you like insanely high component scores. It was still well deserved, his win, and like his programs are untouchable, and he still has the quad loop that he just threw in the exhibition, just to be like, hey, just so you know, I can do this
I
too.
know. Just so I
And
can do this. But yeah, I mean, what bothers me is, I mean, he did let me think. He had a combination spin with the Beelman ending, was the final position in his combination spin in the first half of the program of the free skate, and it was going slow and it was traveling, and he got twos and threes
oh
for
my
that.
god,
That's
well, that's
ridiculous. The quad in the second half, the quad triple in the second half, that quad looked at least under rotated, but definitely, just not really well landed, and he got twos and threes for that as well. So that creates this unrealistic gap between Yuzuru and the rest of the field, particularly a skater like Javier Fernandez, who is skating really well, has improved significantly artistically, particularly in a short program over last year. And we talked years ago about Chanflation with the judges. I think now we realistically have to be talking about, hand deflation,
manipulation, yeah.
because this is a thing, and he's on this momentum now where he's just picking up, like, he's like a tornado, picking up all sorts of points that aren't necessarily warranted.
When he hits his elements, like, he deserves plus threes, and he deserves plus twos and plus threes when he hits that. But he's gotten to the point that, as with Patrick Chan, like, he's now one of the top dogs, and he's such a top dog that, like, he'll make a minor error on it. And we kind of saw with Velocizar and Trankov at the last Olympics, where like they would touch down on their throws, or
Mm.
and they would still get, or Mao, where there was that one worlds or one competition where she two-footed a triple axel and still got positive GOA. Once you get to a certain level, the judges are kind of going to forgive you for, and if you're a medium level skater doing a triple axel and do it cleanly, you might get a 1 or like a 0 or whatever, because good on you for doing it cleanly. but like you'll never get a +2 or a +3. Whereas if you're a top level skater, you're gonna get +2s and +3s if you land it. And if you step out, then the judge will be like, oh, I guess I should make that a 0, which is, neutral level for like any other skater. So that's a bit of a gripe I have. And it happened with Hanyu as well. Same thing happened at Japanese Nationals with Hanyu. Like I think he got like his first skate, he got like 95 for components with 2 falls. I mean, even for a national, that's a little ridiculous. We'll see it I'm sure at Canadian Nationals this weekend. The same, and we saw with a couple short programs from Patrick Chan earlier this season that like, he would make errors but still get like 40, 45 level components. The judges, y'all got to be fair, okay? Like we know you have your favorites. We know like you guys go gaga and you're ready to like get your paycheck and okay, Hanyu skates clean, so let me give my +3s and my 10s across the board. If it's that's fine, but if a skater makes errors, you have to hold them accountable to that, because otherwise other skaters are going to be like, well, what the heck? I can skate cleanly. I can skate the best I can, and there's absolutely no way I can like even come close to these, because like even the skaters are already like losing marks on elements, sure, but the judges aren't even docking them marks for like for component scores, and you can't tell me that like a program with multiple falls or multiple errors is worth like even 90 plus. Like, come on, guys, this is a 90%, right? Like,
yeah.
In like the 90s, that would be like giving a 5.8 or a 5.9 for technical to a program with 2 falls. Like, you have to be fair. But like moving on from like Hanyu, who still is definitely the favorite to win Worlds, in my opinion.
So behind him, you've got this pack of Javier, Patrick, Boyang Jin, Shoma Uno, maybe Maxim Kovten. Who are you? I got to give a bit of an edge to Javier. I think he's on his own momentum, and I think training in Yuzuru's camp with Orser just gives him that added edge. He's skating really well this season as well. But who do you think stood out in terms of making some waves in the first half of the season?
Oh, well, Javier definitely made wave. He won both of his Grand Prix events, the only one to win both of his Grand Prix events, and he had a stellar performance at the Grand Prix final, which, can we take a moment to like just appreciate how crazy amazing that free skate was in the Grand Prix final. That's like one of the best free skates like ever. I felt bad for Murakami because he was clearly not like the 5 skaters who skated insane, but like those top 5 performances were just like out of this world.
Amazing.
And Fernandez, he cleared 200 points in his free skate, which is a huge barrier for him. It's again only the second man to do it, and then he landed and he did all his content as well. So that was a huge breakthrough for him, and the fact that he got to that level is great. I think he could add a second triple axel if he wants to sort of compete with Hanyu. Honestly, at this point, if Hanyu skates clean, nobody can touch him. That goes without saying. But you can always try to improve and push yourself. It'll be interesting to see if Javier how he does at Euros. He did 2 quads in the short program at Spanish Nationals and did that very well. So it'll be interesting to see. He's definitely my favorite to win Euros, like hands down. You mentioned Kovtun, the Russian men's champion, who he's not my favorite skater, but like he did do his quad, like he did 3 quads in the long program. I was very happy to see Mikhail Kolyada come back from his injury last year and claim silver. He's a very, very good skater, like not just elements wise, but like speed and like flow and presentation. I think he's one to watch out for in terms of that. And of course, we have the second Japanese skater who won bronze at the Grand Prix final and is going to Worlds as a very, very formidable podium contender, Shoma Uno. And that's a meteoric rise. That's like an Evgenia Medvedeva level rise, except for her, like she has a chance to win. I don't think Uno can win, but I think Uno can definitely make the podium. And he's one of my favorite skaters to watch. He skated quite well. He had an amazing short program at Japanese Nationals. I thought he should have actually been ahead, but like I think Hanyu's content kept him ahead with 102 points. and a fall, right?
Yeah,
Like,
not bad.
right? Yeah, he's not going to get that at Worlds, but hopefully not. But like, I think Uno's firmly the Japanese men's number 2 skater, and he has a chance to really make a splash at Worlds. And his first Worlds, I think he can medal, which not too many men are known for doing. So we'll see
Yeah.
we'll see how that goes. And of
Well, and,
course,
and and hopefully Patrick, and hopefully just to round that out from a Canadian perspective, hopefully Patrick Chan, either at nationals or if he goes to 4 continents, though he doesn't usually attend 4 continents, hopefully he can get a clean short program under his belt so that he those that sort of pain all season long with that short program.
that has
He's
been
free of
so
that and he
key.
knows he can land it. It's a shame because it's a great program. It's Mac is back. It's great. It's dynamic. He skates through it quite well. I think it stands out amongst the other programs. But hey, if you can't put it together, and I mean, if he was like, as far low as he was, I mean, he was obviously sixth place at the Grand Prix final. At Worlds, he'd be even lower, and he probably wouldn't even make with a skate like that, like the top 2 flights. He'd be so far back,
Oh
and that
my,
would be
yeah.
horrible for his confidence and morale going into the program.
I mean, I think he could make the second flight. The first flight might like it might. I don't know. Who knows? It might be a short program like Sochi, right? Or like 80
Yeah,
point, like or like even Skate Canada, where like like the leader has like 82 points after the short program. Right? Like you never know what's gonna happen. I think Worlds
yeah,
people will get it together. That's generally when skaters tend to get it together. But yes, Patrick needs a really good short program. That's been a huge difficulty for him this season. I don't think he's cleared. Like I think his highest is like 80 or 81. Which is like crazy because like Patrick on
it's
his
still a good, it's
Pat,
still an okay score, but
well, not if you wanna win or even like put yourself up to medal at World. Like,
well,
um,
medalists can wind up with like an 85, 86 short program. We've seen
right.
that. So,
We can
but
say we can say
he's looking to
that.
be as high. He's looking to be as high as he can. And
Yeah,
yeah,
but with a lot of guys who can score in the 90s, like Jin, like Uno, like Fernandez, like Javi, like Hanyu, who can score well over 100. And I think Fernandez definitely, if he skates clean, he'll score over 100, based on the base value, but in his short program. So Patrick needs to compete with that, and like again, he's on the comeback trail, and I want to cut him some slack. And he is adding a second triple axel to his free skate, so he is slowly but surely adding to that technical content. And
yeah.
I mean, anything can happen. I mean, some of these guys they might have peaked too early. Some of these guys may have yet to peak, like Dennis 10.
Well, and I think and Dennis Tan, and I think another skater. I mean, assuming he can make the 4 continents and hopefully World Championships, Max Aaron could factor in some way, shape, or form. And seeing how these skaters perform at the end of this month at Europeans and next month at 4 continents, just to get that final glimpse as to who's still steady, who's feeling good, and who's starting to cave or succumb. And on the opposite, like who might be on the upswing, like a Cove Tuner, like an Aaron or a Dennis Ten, who might factor in. I think it will be very interesting to see, and I almost think it's still too early to tell
Yeah.
who are going to be the big top contenders against Hanyu and then sort of Fernandez at the next level.
Yeah. And another skater who can definitely factor into that is Boyang Jin, who
Yeah.
and he still hasn't really like he's delivered amazing short programs this year. He still has yet to deliver a free. I mean, yet to deliver with 4 quads. I mean, I'm not I'm not gonna be like really you haven't managed to do your 4 quad free skate. Like what's wrong with you, right? Like I'm not saying that, but I'm saying like he's doing it, so that means he's capable of doing it, and I think he's fully capable of doing a 4 quad free skate on his best day. And when you like then it doesn't matter if he gets 76 or 80 component scores for his free skate. If you do 4 quads, like it would be like the equivalent of getting like 100 PC like
Yeah.
component scores and then doing the difficulty of like a Patrick Chan or a Dennis Tan. Like adding those quads is essentially putting himself in that upper tier, which is great. I think people are like getting on his case, being like, oh, he's only a technical skater. But you know what? He's doing what he needs to do to like stay in that top tier. What's his other option is to try to improve his artistry, hope the judges are receptive to it, slowly bring up his scores, and then not do like technical tricks that will like keep him in the top. So, Boyang, you do your thing, okay? You keep it the gin sanity going, okay, as I like to call it. Um, and I think if he skates cleanly, he can definitely medal out Worlds. Like it's going to be super exciting to see how he does. I know Dennis Ten, he's coming back from injury, but he has a tendency to peak in the latter half of the season and save
Yep.
his best for like the biggest
And yeah,
competitions. Like last year
agreed.
at
And
Four Continents and Worlds.
yeah, and lately he's been looking okay. He was at a senior B event and he did quite well. So I think that's all I have to say about the men. I think there's a lot to watch
Yeah.
at Europeans, four continents to then finally predict what happens at Worlds.
Yep, and
So
one more thing in U.S. Nationals because that's also coming up, and Canadian Nationals. Canadian Nationals, we're hoping Nam does well. U.S. Nationals, we're hoping Jason Brown can feel better and recover from his back injury. But U.S. Nationals will be very interesting between Max Aaron, Adam Rapon, and then you have like a slew of other skaters like Nathan Chen. Like it's gonna
Vincent
be
Xu,
very
yeah.
yeah, it's gonna be Vincent Zhou. Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see. Men's at Canadian Nationals will also be interesting.
Yeah, Elijah Balde. I'm crossing my fingers for that guy too. I want to
To
see him
come
back.
through. Yeah, but I think Canada only has two spots, so it'll
I
probably.
know. So it's between him and Nam. I mean, I think that someone
I
else can
honestly
take
think it'll
spoiler.
be Nam and but Balde had that amazing win at Nebelhorn where he showed his like potential and you never know, right? Like I don't know. I think the factor is Brian Orser. I think he's gotten Nam's head in a place where he knows going into nationals, you're defending, do your thing, like you have it in you. And I don't know. I don't know how Patrick's going to show up, like in the short or not. So I don't know if that leaves him vulnerable to Nam. I don't think so, especially
Yeah, I
coming
don't
off of
think
his
so
free
either.
skates. But
And I don't think Nam's had as solid a season upon which to build to go in with massive confidence. I mean, he
mhm.
probably needs to do a bit of a reset before nationals. That's why I think Elijah Balde does potentially he could be a spoiler and a dark horse in this event, as he has been for years. And lots of times he hasn't capitalized. And
Yeah.
we'll see what happens this year. So
Cool. Well, lots going on
you
in
betcha.
the world of men as well. And so this has been a recap of the final tail end of 2015 for the pairs and men. And we are totally stoked about Canadian Nationals and U.S. Nationals. And of course, the major IEC championships, Europeans and Four Continents coming up. And Worlds is still so far, like if it's like in March, like that's so long. That's so long that you never know what's going to happen. So, I mean, it's all about peaking at that right time. And, I always wonder why Worlds was so far ahead considering the rest of the season. But it's okay. That means we get more skating throughout the
It's a
season. So,
huge gap.
yeah, but it'll be
That's right.
very
That's right.
interesting.
Yeah.
And hopefully you've enjoyed our recaps of this. And please leave comments below as to who you think is going to shine in the rest of the season. And, maybe comebacks and surprises. Will 10 come back? Will Savchenko and Massot be that spoiler? So there's a lot to look out for. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter. We are the Blade Boys. And of course, if you're always looking for more figure skating chat and discussion / gossip / shade being thrown, there's always the lovely Golden Skate discussion forum for more feedback. And they're also great at hosting videos and stuff like from competitions and also getting the minor competitions like the senior Bs and other skates that we certainly don't have the time to recap, but you should check them out as well.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm Ted Flett.
And I'm It Doss, and these are the Blade
Signing
Boys
off.
signing off.